The sharp crack of a slap ripped through the hallway like a gunshot, cutting through laughter and chatter until everything went dead silent. Students froze mid-step. Conversations died. Every head snapped toward the sound. No one could process what they had just seen. Emily Torres, the quiet new girl, stood perfectly still. A bright red mark blazed across her cheek where Kyle Briggs had struck her, but something was off. She didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She didn't crumble the way bullies always expected their victims to. Her eyes, instead, changed. They narrowed, darkened, and locked onto Kyle's wrist with a cold focus that made even the spectators uneasy, like a predator silently marking its target. Emily wasn't just another transfer student passing through Crestwood High. She came from a life most of these kids couldn't picture. Her father, a strict military officer, had dragged their family from one base to another across the country. Her mother? A self-defense instructor who had taught Emily how to fight before she even learned multiplication. Emily had seen bullies in every school. Loud ones, silent ones, cruel ones. But this time, this slap hit differently. This wasn't just bullying. This was personal. It had all begun a week earlier, the day Emily first set foot in Crestwood High. She walked in quietly, shoulders tucked beneath a worn hoodie, hands buried deep in its pockets. She didn't chase attention or try to impress anyone. She wanted peace, not popularity. And that alone made her stand out. Kyle Briggs, the school's star athlete and self-declared ruler of the hallways. Quiet kids were the easiest prey. They didn't fight back. They didn't talk. They didn't matter. Or so he believed. His pack followed him everywhere. Tyler with the smug grin, Sean with the cruel jokes, and Brittany who cheered them on like it was all entertainment. They had no idea the quiet girl they chose was the wrong one. They ruled the school through humiliation, and everyone knew it. Kyle and his crew didn't need to throw punches to control people. They used embarrassment like a weapon. At first, Kyle stuck to his usual routine. He accidentally knocked Emily's books out of her hands in the middle of the cafeteria, sending papers sliding across the floor. He tossed sarcastic comments about her clothes whenever she walked by. He even filmed a TikTok, zooming in on her hoodie and her quiet demeanor, mocking her emo loner vibes while his friends cackled behind the camera. The video blew up overnight, and the likes only inflated his ego. But Emily didn't react. Not once. And that, more than anything, infuriated him. Kyle wasn't used to silence. Bullies like him lived off reactions. They thrived on fear, on seeing someone crumble under their words. Without that, he felt powerless. And Emily's calm, steady indifference made him feel invisible. She gave him no fear. No shame. No spark of anger to push back with. Just that quiet stillness. Then came the day everything snapped. It happened in the busiest hallway in the school, right between third and fourth period. Lockers slammed, friends joked loudly, teachers yelled reminders about class starting. The place buzzed with noise until Kyle saw Emily walking alone. This was it. His chance to break the girl who dared to ignore him. He swaggered straight toward her, chest puffed out, his crew trailing behind like shadows. He stopped directly in her path, blocking her way with a smug grin plastered across his face. "Hey, new girl," he said, projecting his voice so everyone around them turned to look. "You think you're too good for us, huh? Go on, say something, you freak." Emily didn't blink. She didn't back up. She didn't even look confused. She simply stared at him with that same calm, quiet expression that had been driving him crazy for days. And that tiny moment of silence, just a breath, was when Kyle finally snapped. His hand flew through the air before anyone even registered what was happening. The slap cracked across the hallway like an explosion. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. A girl at her locker dropped her phone with a clatter. A boy nearby clenched his fists, torn between stepping in and staying safe. The teachers were nowhere close enough for a heartbeat. The entire school seemed frozen, and then Emily moved. Her hand shot up with lightning precision, catching Kyle's wrist before it could even fall back to his side. The look in her eyes, cold, focused, unshaken, sent a chill slicing through Kyle's bravado. In one smooth, practiced motion, she twisted his arm. Kyle stumbled forward, trying to yank it free, but Emily's grip was locked in. He had no idea he'd just stepped into a fight he couldn't win. With a quick shift of her stance, a pivot of her hips, a firm reposition of her hand, she applied pressure with perfect technique. Snap! The sound echoed like a branch snapping in a forest. Kyle's elbow bent in a way it wasn't supposed to. His face twisted in horror and pain, and he collapsed to his knees, screaming loud enough for the whole school to hear. The hallway fell silent. Completely silent. No one had ever witnessed anything like this. Kyle Briggs, the king of the hallways, the nightmare of freshmen, the bully teachers tried to avoid, was now on the floor, trembling, clutching his shattered arm. And Emily stood over him, calm, steady, eyes sharp but unreadable. She didn't smirk. She didn't taunt him. She simply released his wrist and took a step back, almost as if she were distancing herself from a stain. Within seconds, teachers burst through the crowd. Someone had already called the nurse. Kyle was rushed out on a stretcher and loaded into an ambulance. Emily, meanwhile, was escorted quietly to the principal's office. That night, Crestwood High was on fire digitally, at least. Text messages flew nonstop. Group chats overflowed. Social media exploded with blurry clips, wild rumors, and endless whispers. The school had never seen a storm like this. Some students whispered that Emily was dangerous, a monster. Others insisted she was a hero who finally stood up to the untouchable king of Crestwood High. But for the first time in a long time, the quiet kids, the overlooked ones, the ones who spent lunches alone or hid from bullies, felt a flicker of hope. Maybe things could finally change. Emily sat alone in the principal's office, waiting for her parents to arrive. Her hands rested calmly in her lap, steady as ever, but her heart felt heavy and tired. She never liked using force. She never took joy in hurting anyone. Her mother's lessons had always been clear. Self-defense wasn't about winning. It was about surviving when every other door was closed. And this time, there truly had been no other choice. Principal Harris, known across the school for her no-nonsense rules and firm discipline, sat across from Emily, tapping a pen rhythmically against the desk. Her expression wasn't angry, just conflicted. Thoughtful, stern. "You understand how serious this is, Emily," she said softly, breaking the silence. "I know," Emily answered, her voice calm but steady. "But so is assault. He slapped me." Principal Harris exhaled deeply, rubbing her temples as if trying to massage away the weight of the situation. She didn't need an explanation. The hallway cameras had captured everything. The mocking, the intimidation, the slap, and Emily's split-second reaction that had left Kyle screaming on the floor. There was no debate about what had really happened. No way to twist the truth. In the end, Principal Harris made the only decision she could, one that surprised the entire school. Emily wasn't expelled. She wasn't suspended either. Instead, she was assigned mandatory counseling sessions and conflict resolution classes, path focused on healing rather than punishment.